Hello friends, my name is Lauren and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to go over my recent New England road trip. I visited a bunch of different sites in Massachusetts, and I have a whole separate video talking about my time in Salem on Summerween, so if you're interested in spooky things, definitely go check that video out. But besides Salem, I spend most of my time in Concord or Concord, Massachusetts, depending on how you say it. I traveled from the Midwest all the way to New England for the very first time, and I had a blast, so stay tuned to see what I got up to in this vlog. The first place that I stopped was the Toledo Museum of Art, and it was actually Juneteenth this day, so the museum had a live performance of Black musicians celebrating and uplifting African American culture, which I really enjoyed. Then I spent some time looking at the blown glass pavilion and checking out some of the more classical art. I myself am very much drawn to paintings of women, fairy tale inspired or ethereal pieces. A lot of classic or Baroque art tends to be my favorite, but it was a really excellent museum. It was free, which I cannot stress enough, and so I was very happy to do that. Then I ended up spending the night in Michigan, and I saw one of the Great Lakes for the first time ever. This is Lake Erie, and I walked along this pier. I listened to a podcast, I called some of my family members, I saw a cute little seagull, which, maybe I'm stupid, but I was surprised there were seagulls there, and it was really pleasant. Spent the night in Michigan, and then I drove to Cleveland. I stopped at a cafe called Fat Cats, and then I was on the way driving through Pennsylvania. I saw, again, Lake Erie pretty much the entire time I was driving, and then I made it to my first real stop I was excited about, Niagara Falls. I have always wanted to go to Niagara Falls, and when I went and saw the falls, I immediately started tearing up. I don't know what came over me, but it was just so breathtakingly beautiful, and I wish I would have brought my passport so I could have run away and escaped to Canada, but alas, I had to stay in the US. So then, went to my hotel, which was in Cazenovia, New York, and we stayed at a place called the Lincoln Hotel, which is super cool and historic. It was like a boutique, tiny hotel. If you're ever in Cazenovia, New York, check it out. They even had a farmer's market that day. I had the best time in Salem on Summerween. Again, I have an entire video about my time in Salem, but it was perfect and spooky, and I wouldn't have traded it for the world. I desperately want to go back. How can someone who lived hundreds of years ago feel like such a powerful friend? I have asked myself this time and time again upon reading the words of Henry David Thoreau, feeling a connection to his writing unlike anything else I've ever known. Henry David Thoreau, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Margaret Fuller, and the Alcott family were upon the leading transcendentalists, environmental, political, and spiritual thinkers in the mid-1800s. Revolutionary to their core, they weaved together progressive ideals about nature, abolitionism, feminism, spirituality, and individuality into a singular philosophy called transcendentalism. Inspired to share their ideas, each member wrote with a ferocity that is unparalleled. Even still, Henry stands alone in his sheer volume of written material, everything ranging from daily journals to essays on civil disobedience, scientific natural logs, editorials, and Walden, a book about living on your own at Walden Pond. Visiting Walden is something I've always wanted to do as a lover of the Transcendentalist movement, and particularly as a lover of Henry David Thoreau. He is my favorite person in history, and so when I got the chance to tour this historic place, I jumped at the offer. To walk where Henry walked, to swim where he swam, and to lose myself in nature as he had, it was an experience I will never forget. I ended up hiking to the original spot of Thoreau's cabin and meditated on what he meant to me. At this site, they have one of his most famous quotes, probably made famous in modern days by its inclusion in the film Dead Poets Society. The Dead Poets Society movie is one of my favorite movies of all time, even though if you've watched it, you know it's an emotional gut punch. But the film really utilizes that quote, "Carpe diem, seize the day." Henry wrote these words because he meant it. He wanted every single person to live life to the fullest, so that when it was their time to pass, they had a life worth being remembered. And that's something that I really try to remember from Henry's writings. I want to live a passionate life. I have so many dreams and so many desires, and I really feel like Henry allows the average person to dream, to want better for the world, for yourself. And so I was very emotional at this point. I then went in to Walden Pond and actually got to swim, which was magnificent. After spending time swimming in Walden Pond, I went back to my hotel, the Concord Colonial Inn, changed, and made my way over to the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. There we have the graves of the people who I admire so dearly. I was the only living person in the cemetery right before it closed, and I was able to spend time silently walking around, giving little offerings, and meditating, reflecting on what these people meant to me. It's very important for me to pay my respects to those I admire, and I really appreciated seeing the gifts of other people as well. Louisa May Alcott, Henry, so many of the people there had pencils and little rocks, sticks as offerings. The next morning, I decided to drive a couple hours outside of Massachusetts to Rhode Island to go to the Nitro Bar coffee shop. This is like a really viral coffee shop, and I wanted to try it. It was really good. I got a caramelized banana latte, and it was totally worth it, even though it was like a 3-hour round trip. This is me at Emerson's house, and then this is me at the Orchard House, also known as the Little Women House, or where Louisa May Alcott and her family lived. This is the Little Women Garden, and Little Women, if you somehow don't know, is a very famous book and film adaptations that follow the March sisters. It's inspired by the author Louisa May Alcott's real life with her real sisters, and it is a phenomenal feminist piece of literature published in the 1800s. Louisa May Alcott was once tutored by Henry David Thoreau. She lived next to him in Emerson. Her father was great friends with them as well, and so the transcendentalism spirit is well alive in her book and in all of her writings that she published. This is me in the gift shop. I went on a tour that lasted about an hour of the home, but they didn't allow any pictures or videos inside because basically all the furniture was still original, and there were actually paintings done by Amy, whose real name was May, and it was incredible. This is the historic home of Nathaniel Hawthorne, which he named the Wayside Home for Authors. Louisa May Alcott and her family lived in it previously, and then he bought it from them. You might know his name because he wrote the Scarlet Letter. And then this is the Old Manse, which was the Emerson family home. Nathaniel Hawthorne and his wife also lived there. It also, I believe, was used in the Little Women 2019 film. I spent some time walking around the property. There's a state park connected to it. And I really just enjoyed spending my time in nature. It was probably 100 degrees every day that I was in Massachusetts. I was dripping in sweat. Half the time I wasn't even wearing makeup and my hair was up, but I was absolutely thriving. I know that I will go back to Concord. I know that I will go back to Salem. New England and Massachusetts in particular really has my heart. And I couldn't see because it was so bright while I was filming, but look at this beam. I am convinced that was a beam from heaven. Okay, I swear Okay, so I've moved inside now, and maybe you can see off to the side, but it is really raining. I did purposely come over to my parents' house because they have a beautiful garden, and I wanted to be outside because the Transcendentalist movement was about nature. I love nature, but part of loving nature is respecting Mother Nature, and when my phone got knocked down twice by a twig on a gigantic tree that I was sitting under because a thunderstorm was approaching, I personally took that as a sign to take my happy self inside. So if I look very red and sweaty, it's because I ran up a hill and now I'm here. Also, my parents have 2 cats. They have a sweet dog as well, so they might be in the background of this. So while I was at Walden, I of course had to pick up some souvenirs. I wanted to be intentional with what I got, and so you'll see a lot of these are postcards which contain quotes, but I have studied him for years. I have read almost every single thing he's put out, and so I wanted to remember this time. Like I said, it was borderline a spiritual experience for me to go there, and so I just wanted to showcase some of the things that I got. I first got this shirt which says, "Wilderness is the preservation of the world." I am someone who is a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for over 6 years. I care deeply about the rights of animals, about the rights of nature. I'm a huge hippie environmentalist. Whatever label you want to put on me, I would probably agree if it's in that realm. And so I definitely believe in this quote, and it's something that I am proud to share. And so I wanted to get this on a shirt because I just think it's really important, especially with how the world is going today. The next thing I got was Thoreau's journal. I have read this multiple times, and even though it might seem a little bit silly to read another person's journal, this is just so jam-packed with the inner workings of his mind and the magnificent quotes that he shared quite often. And so it's very inspiring to read. It's very motivational as well, because a lot of the time he spends alone and he reflects on life, death, friendship, these inner thoughts that might be a little bit intimidating to read sometimes, but cut to the bone. I already own Walden. I have his essays. I have his nature, more focused scientific journals, but the journal itself is one that I have never owned because I was hoping to buy it at Walden, and I did. So this is something that, 18-year-old me has been looking forward to for years and years and years when I was taking my history classes in college all about this time period. I got this really cute coffee mug that says Walden Pond. This is a drawing of a fish, obviously, that Henry did as well, and I just love this really pretty color. Again, just a simple reminder of my trip. I also picked up some bumper stickers. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to put this on my car because currently I don't have any stickers on my car. I am interested though, and so maybe I will. But if not, I thought that these would also just be great to keep in a scrapbook. So we have be not simply good, be good for something, all good things are wild and free, and in wilderness is the preservation of the world, which again is on the shirt that I picked up. My next favorite part of Concord was getting to visit Louisa May Alcott's house, who you may better know as the author of Little Women. Even though it was written almost 200 years ago, it's still a story that every girl, I believe at least, can relate to. And I personally relate with every single sister. I know that everybody wants to be Jo, and I do think I am Jo in a lot of ways, but I also see Amy and Meg and Beth and myself, as I'm sure we all do. If you've never read Little Women or never watched one of the Little Women adaptations, I highly encourage you to do that. I have seen the Winona Ryder version, and I have to admit, even though this is maybe unpopular, that I like the 2019 version more. The Orchard House, which is the name of the Alcott family house, was so beautiful to tour, and again, the fact that it was actually used, at least from the front, during the filming of Little Women in 2019 made it also special to tour. And so I knew I wanted to get a couple souvenirs as well. So first I got this tea, which I'm excited to try. I know I'm gonna save a couple of these packets just for memories, but I am excited to try it. And it has original artwork of the home that was done by May, the real sister who inspired Amy. And so I got this. I also got a really cute magnet that says Louisa May Alcott, the Orchard House, and I'm excited to put this on my fridge. I think everybody who travels collects magnets, but if you don't, you definitely should, just because it's so cute. I got this piece of art, which is often on the original or older copies of books. This is another postcard, a drawing of the home. I made sure to pick up a brochure to again use in a scrapbook, which has a map of the house and talks about other information. And then even though this isn't really Little Women related, I got this because I thought it was beautiful as well, and I believe it was made by a local artist. But it's just a pot holder with a cute little cat because I am cat obsessed. Last but not least, if you're someone who scrolls on Instagram Reels, or I'm sure TikTok a bunch, and you like coffee, I'm sure you've heard of the Nitro Bar, which is a chain of coffee shops in Rhode Island. And to commemorate my time of going to the Nitro Bar for a whopping 25 minutes, I got this hat. I love green and I think it's really cute. It says Rhode Island as well. And I've never gone to Rhode Island before, but I'm gonna count and say that I've been there now. So that was really fun. And I got this to wear and I think it's gonna be a cute addition to my wardrobe. I love visiting New England and I am not someone who vacations very much. This was a trip that I planned for, that I saved for, and I'm so lucky that I was able to go. This vacation is something that I know I'm going to always remember, and I'm happy that I was able to vlog a little bit of it and share it with you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I would really appreciate it if you did. Bye, friends.